Hi guys, welcome to Lisa Loves. I have started this video and in no way do I know what I've got to say. I haven't researched it. I don't even know if I'm ready to review this movie as yet. Last night I went to see Hereditary. I have been looking forward to this since it was brought to my attention earlier this year. It opened in America a week before it did here in Ireland. It just opened here last night in a nearby town, so I travelled over to see it. Oh my goodness, guys. What I'm going to do here is I am going to talk for the vast portion of this video with no spoilers, and then I'm going to give a spoiler warning, and afterwards I will talk about spoilers. I haven't been as disturbed by a movie in a long time. I think the last movie I watched that really deeply disturbed me prior to this was Martyrs, but I will also say that this disturbed me more than Martyrs in a completely different way. When I've heard people say that Toni Collette deserves an Oscar for her performance in this is so true. And I apologise that I have not looked this up, the young lad that plays the son, Peter, in this. I just wanted to do this to get it done because it's been preying on my mind, this movie. I had to get the review done, out there. This movie, so I went into this not knowing very much at all on purpose. I even feel that the trailer shows too much. Thankfully, in the trailer, certain things are put in there that are flashed so quick that you almost miss them. But when you've seen the movie and you watch the trailer, you think, why have you put that in the trailer? You don't. So I would urge you, if you want to see Hereditary, don't watch the trailer. Don't watch reviews that are warning or that have anything resembling a spoiler in there, which is why I'm purposely not discussing too much. All I will say is it follows an extremely dysfunctional family that have lots of problems following the death of the matriarch, the mother. Toni Collette's mother dies, the grandmother of the children. And just the movie is everything that follows. This movie is very slow building. The first 3 quarters do have certain scenes that are eyebrow raising, but for the most part it's building the characters, it's letting you get to know the characters, what makes them tick, how they are, and the last quarter of this movie blew my mind. There were a couple of scenes, 2-3 scenes, that my mouth was honestly open. Horror isn't very popular in Ireland, I don't know why. In the cinema, this was the opening show in Northern Ireland that I'm aware of. And there were only 6 of us in there, 2 couples, a single guy and me. I went to see it on my own. Honest to God, one of the couples left early. It's like, what are you doing? Are you not completely freaked out? What's going on here? I think some people expected like a big gore fest or something really hyper jump scary, cheesy, been done 101 times sort of thing. It's totally not what this is. I will put this movie on a level with, if you remember, now I'm not a massive fan of The Exorcist. I apologise if I've offended anyone, but maybe it's just because I was a lot older when I first saw it. But the buzz that was around that when it was released and how it made people feel, I've seen it compared to Rosemary's Baby. For me, I'm going to compare it to, not in its subject matter because it's nothing like this, but for me, how I felt when I first saw The Shining. It stayed with me. It's one of those movies that you know instantly when you watch it, this is going to be a classic. This movie is not going to fade away into obscurity. It's not going to be forgotten. It's not going to be just another horror movie. This is a modern day classic. I've seen it described as a masterpiece on certain people's profiles, and I completely agree with that. The acting is... I cannot remember the last time I saw a movie and was just completely blown away by the acting. Toni Collette's expressions, how she puts herself across, how she can change her expression in a minute second from one extreme to the next. It was terrifying. It's how a person's facial expressions alone can completely terrify you. I don't know if it was how it was shot, the creepiness of it, the score, the acting, the mood, the pacing. It just, for me, it built up and built up and built up, and it paid off in spades at the end. There's two specifics. Well, there's one scene earlier on in the movie which is quite shocking. But not any more shocking than a lot of movies are nowadays. And at the end, there are two specific scenes that I actually had my eyeballs like that, and my mouth was pretty much the same, and I'm like, what am I... And those two scenes keep playing over and over and over in my head. Right. I'll finish off this non-spoiler section by saying, go see this. I've been trying to convince my husband to go see this. He says, oh, I'll see it when it comes out in DVD. He'd rather watch the World Cup. Fuck football, pardon my language. The World Cup has started. I'm sick of the sight of it already, and it's only day 2. We've had 4 matches, and he's watched... Sorry, there have been 3 matches. He's watched 2.5. And there's another one this evening, which I know he wants to see. Spain versus Portugal. I apologise, this wasn't meant to be about football, but yeah. No, so he says he's going to watch it on DVD. I really, really, really recommend people go see this at the cinema. I've heard people say to be in a theatre with like-minded people that are getting the same buzz from this movie that you are really adds to the experience. Unfortunately, the people I was sat in with, as I say, there were 6 of us. 2 either were completely freaked out and left or didn't like it. I think they didn't like it. The guy that was there on his own stayed way into the credits, so he must have enjoyed it. And the other couple, again, they stayed quite late as well. I think everybody was sort of sat there. I'm not picking my nose thing's turned around the wrong way. Forgot what I was saying now. Go see it in the cinema. I'm not going to say any more spoilery stuff, so I just really want to recommend, if you can get out and see this, do. It is frightening. It will play on your mind. It is spooky, it's creepy, but it's well worth it. You want to be able to say in 20 years, I saw Hereditary in the theatres when it came out. Just like some people can say, I saw The Exorcist when it was released first time in the theatres. You think, oh, how cool would that have been? Get out, watch this, because it will be one of these movies that they will be talking about in 20 years' time. I guarantee it. So, I'm going to give you a spoiler warning now. If you're watching and you don't want to know anything about what happens, out you go. So, here we go. Spoilers commencing. Oh my god. Right, I keep referring to 2 scenes. I'm going to tell you which 2 scenes, so please have not seen this or be one of those people that doesn't care. But I would really, really, really massively suggest that you do not watch this if you haven't seen the movie, because it will spoil it for you. I'm warning you in advance. The scene where Peter has locked himself in the attic at the end and his mother is outside, and we see her frantically banging her head on that door. Honestly, that, you hear, like, that sounds like I'm doing something really rude. You hear her knocking on the door, and you obviously think it's her hands doing this, but then when it cuts back out and it's her head, Christ. No. My mouth dropped. And while I was still in a state of disbelief at what I'd just watched, the neck thing, and I'm thinking, how is this possible? How's she doing this? How's she going to saw through her head? And then you hear clunk, and is that the head that's come off, or is the body falling down? Is the head still up there? What's going on? And it's like, how's that even... The look on her face when she done that, the ferocity of how she was doing it, the blood, and it wasn't overkill. It was done like you would imagine it would be, and it's just so disturbing. Another part that really, really freaked me out, and doesn't seem to be a lot of other people, is the part where Peter's in the bedroom and he's got his back to the wall, and we can see for edges there's a person in the corner, and you can just see it, and you're thinking, what's going to happen? And it's there for ages, and you're thinking, what are you doing? And it's starting to make me really uneasy. What are you doing? Are you going to move or what? And then it's the way it floats off, and the way its legs do this, and the way it's going really fast, and it's like, oh Jesus, it's like, I didn't like that. No. I didn't like how in the trailer they showed the part of her banging her head against the door. I didn't see that on my initial watch of the trailer, thankfully. And then on watching the trailer after it again, this morning. I watched some people's reviews this morning. You see Gabriel burn on fire. Gabriel burn on fire. That wasn't meant to be a joke. But yeah, why would they put that in the trailer? So you, thankfully, I probably watched that and it didn't compute when I watched it originally, so I'd forgotten. The only part I remembered was where Peter looks at his reflection in the glass and it smiles, and then he bashes his head on the table. And even that I don't think should have been in the trailer, because if I hadn't have known that was going to happen, that would have really shocked me. So I wish they'd kept that out of the trailer. I know they have to show a certain amount to get people intrigued, to make them want to go see it, but I think they could have made that trailer interesting enough without putting those sort of things in. But just when I thought something had happened that was like, I haven't seen anything like this before, and I love horror. I don't get offended or grossed out very easily. The only thing that frightens me, and I'm going to come across as a massive wuss when I say this, I'm not creeped out by clowns. I don't get scared by like slasher movies. I quite enjoy trap movies like Saw, but see anything paranormal that's done well, that scares the crap out of me. And this is done perfectly. It's like the Paranormal Activity movies, which are, oh, I only watched the first two, and then I watched another one recently, which was a later one, it's probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. But from the Paranormal Activity movies, the only thing that ever stayed with me was the person getting dragged out of bed by the foot. I have this thing where I don't like my foot sticking out at night in case something grabs it. That's stupid. I realise that's stupid. But it's my thing. It's paranormal stuff, ghosty stuff, scares the crap out of me. I've got my reasons for this. But Hereditary really hit me where it got me. It got to me in a big way. A couple of friends that live here in Ireland also went to see it last night on opening night. The girl is a headmistress, and they like their horror, and she's traumatized. She said, I can't even begin to talk about this movie. She'd written about it on Facebook, and she said it's probably the best, yet the most disturbing film that I have seen in years. And I said to her, I totally agree. I saw it as well. And she says, oh my god, if you agree and you love your horror, you're quite hardcore with what you like. She said, I thought it was just me being a wuss. And I'm like, no, it wasn't you being a wuss. This is a disturbing movie. If you properly invest yourself, if you follow it, if you get into the characters, if you're not one of these people that get bored following what's going on, if you're invested in those people and what's going on, you will feel creeped out. I've heard a couple of people say they didn't find it frightening. I suppose what frightens you is a personal thing. This sort of thing really frightens me. Just some of the imagery stays with you, and has stayed with me and will stay with me, and I think that makes a really good movie. I will be watching this again when it comes out. Well, I'll be buying this one to watch it with my husband. I keep trying to convince him to go see it in the cinema, but he's just one of these people. He's not bothered if he sees things in the cinema. I don't think he likes going on his own. I don't care, believe me, no mates. People look at me when I'm at the cinema like, oh look, she's been stood up, look at her on her own sim, that and you can see them looking at you with a pitying expression because girls don't go to the cinema on their own. It's like, really? So yeah, I've waffled for 14 minutes. I do apologise. I'd love to know your views if you've seen these. I have watched a few other people. If you haven't seen my other video, which is up about my giveaway for these two items, it's up on my page. I just recently hit 200 subscribers, which I know is little beans for most people, but for me, I'm hyper chuffed. Love it. I will stop waffling. Go see Hereditary. You will regret it if you don't. Awesome. Over and out from Lisa Loves.